About 2 years ago, I started running again, and I already owned an Apple Watch back then, so I used that to track all of my workouts, and honestly, it worked really well for a long time. But over time and over the last few months, I started running into some issues with battery life and overall accuracy since my Apple Watch Series 3 was getting pretty old. So I decided to upgrade to a Garmin watch and ended up choosing the Garmin Forerunner 255 for a few different reasons. Garmin's lineup of watches is really confusing, but to get the features that I wanted, the main choice was between either the 255 or the 265 of the Forerunner series. They are essentially the same watch, but there's one main difference, and that's with the display. The 255, which I have, and you're seeing right here, is an MIP display, meaning that it isn't necessarily backlit at all unless you press a button to actually turn the light on. However, it does an incredible job of using the light around it to make it visible. So unlike with a normal display, it actually looks better in direct sunlight rather than worse. The 265 is an OLED touch display that can both get really dim and really bright as well. But personally, I just like the MIP display better. I think it works better since I'm taking my watch outside with me a ton. I also prefer to use physical buttons on the side and not using a touchscreen, so not having a touchscreen wasn't a problem for me. But the biggest selling point between the 255 and the 265 is the $100 or so price difference between the two, with the 255 being much cheaper, so I couldn't resist. Since switching from Apple, there have been a few features I've really loved. First is being the battery life. My Apple Watch would barely last a day, and now I can go over a week without charging my Garmin watch and be just fine. It also makes it possible for me to actually track my sleep data myself, since I'm not having to charge my watch every single night. I don't love that the watch requires a proprietary charger, but so did the Apple Watch, so I'll let it pass. If you've never owned a Garmin watch before, you'll also start to appreciate some of the features like body battery, which gives you a percent score based on how much activity you've done recently and the quality of your recent rests. I also really love the default band that comes with this watch. It has a ton of notches, so it's easy to find one that actually fits your wrist well. I will say that the overall watch is fairly large, and I don't mind it, but if you have a smaller wrist, you might want to consider looking at some of their small versions of their watches. It's been 2 months since I purchased this, and I've been really happy with it so far. So it's an easy recommend for me. Peace.